Memphis. And like realistically, that's the motion really started like around that time when it was more about like, yo, Pooh Shiesty, Back in Blood, he really stole a bunch of guns. And ultimately he had to keep those antics up, and that was what stalled his career. Somebody like Yeet, who even Uzi, I've done a couple of Uzi videos, but not those kind of videos. But like even someone like Yeet or Uzi, it's almost like they're not going to fall off as easily because they're not as dependent on the antics. And I will say, just in my own defense, it's almost like I know right now it's like the drill music stuff is the most popular, and I understand people are interested in the true crime aspect of the music, but at the same time, like I've always prided myself, even though some people don't like to talk about it, on being able to cover other types of stories. Like, yes, the KingVon thing was monumental, and it was my most popular project that I've done, and everyone loves talking about Von, but I did do a video that got over 1 million views on Eminem and Eminem and Kim's divorce, Kanye and Kim's divorce. I got videos about all different types of topics that aren't necessarily all about the violence. And I think, again, to pat myself on the back a little bit, I think that's why maybe like even for the hip hop pundits and the people that are doing the news, I think the people that can have like more of a broad base of things that they talk about, whether it's the Tory and Meg situation, Kanye and Kim's divorce, Kanye's mental breakdown, King Von killing a bunch of people. I think that like that versatility to be able to actually just tell compelling stories is like really important. Because again, just like the rappers, like if eventually, like I feel like this kill murder rap is going to kind of fall out of favor, and whatever comes through and replaces it is going to be the new thing everyone wants to talk about.
Because
and,
okay, Traplo
yeah.
Ross, put yourself like your peers, somebody like Sunny V2, something like Patrick CC seems like he's doing crazy numbers super consistently now. The video essay space is flooded, but it seems like there's certain people like Sunny or Patrick CC who just managed to like build up a reputation with their audience that everything that I do a story about is going to be interesting. You have to watch it, even if it sounds boring. The other day, I watched a Sunny V2 video about people who are on that, what was that, survival show? And it fucking triggered me because I remember the guy Bear Grylls. I remember back in probably 2008 watching that show, and there was a scene where he picked up a giant pile of elephant poop and would squeeze it, and water would come out of the elephant poop, and that's how he was purporting to survive. And even as a relatively young man at that time, I might have been like 25 or 26, I remember thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's got to be so much worse stuff that's going to get into your body from the elephant poop. Like, yes, you might get a couple grams of water, but you're consuming a whole lot of fecal matter at the same time. And if I were to accidentally consume fecal matter, probably
what up, man? What the fuck is Adam talking about?
Water. So I feel like that made no sense to me. I watched that documentary from Sunny V2. Boom, he exposes it. That never happened. Or it may have happened in the show, but a lot of stuff was faked in the show, and that doesn't actually work in real life. I can't believe that I never thought to Google it before this, but you just sort of build up trust with your audience over and over and over to the point where I feel like Patrick CC can make a video, nothing to do with hip hop, still get 1 million views, and it could be something that is just very general interest. But if it's got a good title and you have a lot of trust for the host, boom, you're watching it. Put yourself in comparison to them. Where is your mind stayed at? Because you've kind of carved out this niche for yourself as the guy who's down to take 9 months working on a video, and then when it finally comes out, it'll actually be worth it.
Yeah, I feel like the squeezing a giant turd and getting the juice out is quite a good metaphor for like the video essay scene on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people throwing a whole bunch of shit at the wall, and all the viewers and the YouTube algorithms squeezing that shit together, and those drops that come out, like that's a Pat CC, that's a Sunny V2, that's a me, even a Swamp Stories. There's a lot of crap on YouTube, and that's not just like bad videos or bad video makers, but it's like bad stories too. And I feel like the key really is in story selection. And like, I think Pat picks amazing stories. I think Sunny V2 picks amazing stories. And like, for me, I feel like, I there was a period when I felt like I was falling off because I was really just picking stuff that like I was really into, and that I knew there wasn't really an audience for. If you go and look at some of my least viewed videos, there's like some real random topics in there, and it's stuff that I'm super passionate about. You watch the video and you can tell that like you know, and it's no disrespect to these people. These people have big audiences, but it's like, you know, I did a Young Gravy video like 3 years ago, and people kind of like, I ain't trying to hear about Young Gravy, but it's like, yo, I love Young Gravy's music, but it's like, it wasn't really like, it didn't really make a compelling story. It was really just, I wanted to spend a week listening to Young Gravy's music and writing about him. But I think that the thing that really stands out is like story selection. I think Pat CC has done a really good job as far as like, I think.
And see that right there go to show you, like, I seen a comment on one of my videos when I did talking about this situation with Trap Lord Ross in the documentaries, and somebody was like, why they don't do content about other people and stuff? It's like they do. They just see that people don't want to watch it. People don't want to watch it. But if they do a video about Nbayoungboy or KingVon, a 1 hour artist, we watch it. So at the same time, we cannot fault Trap Lord Ross for doing these documentaries because y'all watch it. When he drop them, y'all go watch it. If y'all stop watching it, he won't do videos on it. He just gave you a great example. When he was doing videos on other artists that wasn't black, people wasn't watching it. But when he started doing videos on black artists or hip-hop artists, everybody started watching it. So for the people that feel like Trap Lord Ross shouldn't be doing these documentaries on these rappers, stop watching his documentaries and then he'll find other content. He just basically told y'all that right there. Even though we say what we say, we still go watch it every time he drop a documentary. If we stop watching it and show no interest, he won't drop a video on it.
I think he stepped outside of the hip hop lane and kind of picked stories that were really broadly appealing in the sort of media landscape. And I think that he's like really hit a bullseye with that. And I really respect it. I think Sonny V2 is the same thing. Like I remember when he was first
How you doing, Miss
up,
Marcella? Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to Miss Marcella.
Have a few swings and misses with the story selection. But like now it's almost like they're all broadly appealing. It's almost like the Mr. Beast approach to picking stories, in a sense that it's like, you know, Mr. Beast doesn't drop a video unless it's a big idea a lot of people are going to be into. And that's the way that Sonny V2 seems to approach his topics. You know, he's doing big stuff that easily 5-10 million people are going to be interested in. I think for me, I'm still like in this difficult space where it's kind of like I'm picking stories that like it's like I'm trying to find the right balance between picking a story that I know I'm passionate enough about to spend 2 or 3 months researching, and at the same
y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to Speak with your girl Marcella.
time that I know these stories are going to get a couple million views just to sustain the business realistically. Like not even I think I leave a lot of money on the table approaching things the way that I approach them, but I create a product that's completely different to anything out there. You know, no one else is making 3-hour videos about KingVon's bodies. Nobody's making 6-hour documentaries about YoungBoy's alleged bodies and his career. So I've really tried to like carve out a specialist niche for myself. And I think maybe for me to like keep growing, I think I got to try and like, I think I maybe got to try and like confine what I do to a little bit more, not short videos. Like I want to maybe do a few more short documentaries on my second channel, but like I think the 2.5 hour mark is the sweet spot. And I think that there's a lot of other topics. I mean, like I said earlier with the Malcolm X thing, you know, maybe not after what happened today, but like there's a lot of things where I think to myself, like, you know what, I want to get to the point where I could step outside of hip hop and show people 2 hours on an interesting topic that maybe they might not have realized was really that interesting, and really try and like hit the bullseye on a Patrick CC flex with that. But like right now, like people want to say, oh, you're a culture vulture and you're just piggybacking off hip hop culture. It's like, bro, I saw a comment the other day and someone was like, I bet Trap Lord Ross couldn't even name 5 YoungBoy songs. It's like, bro, you have no idea. I am living, sleeping, eating, breathing YoungBoy, pause, all day long. And just like I love this music. I love this culture. I love this space. And it is really difficult for me to see myself like doing a Sonny V2 type documentary, doing a 2-hour long documentary about something I don't really care about. Like I'm obsessed with YoungBoy. I'm obsessed with Von. I'm obsessed with Dirk. You know, I'm doing a UK story at the moment and like it's coming in at hours long and I'm just super interested in it and super like passionate about breaking down like this background and this history. But I think that anyway, to circle back to what you were saying, I think the best video essay channels are the people that pick like broadly appealing topics that they know millions of people are going to enjoy. And I think for me, what I've tried to do is kind of like pick the hip hop stories. KingVon's a good example where it's kind of like before that video, there's a lot of people that watched it and were like, bro, I didn't know anything about KingVon or even Chicago drill, but like I'm into serial killers. So I checked out this video and now I'm obsessed. And it's kind of like my thing at the moment is really trying to take hip hop stories that are big in the hip hop niche and kind of normalize them so that anybody could tap in, watch them, learn about YoungBoy from scratch, learn about the Baton Rouge music scene from zero, and then enjoy the music afterwards. But yeah, I probably, you know what I'm saying, I could probably get on a Sunny V2 thing someday and do a little bit more broadly appealing stuff.
Yeah, because he seems like he keeps himself to like the 10-minute thing. And like that's what's different though, is that I don't really like, obviously there's a million YoungBoy 10-minute videos, you know, but to put all that information together is really like the value add that I think that you brought to the table with that. Now you probably don't want every project you do to be a 6-hour monstrosity. And also you wonder if the stuff that you're putting in hour 5 is really getting seen by that large of a percentage of the people who watch it, which for me, I watched it in multiple sittings, which I assume will be true of almost everybody who's watching your content. You're just not going to really be able to get away with watching it all in one sitting unless you have like a really unbelievably powerful bladder. But for me, I don't know. Sometimes it's like maybe you should chop it up, but if you're going to make it 2 parts, then you kind of got to have like a really good title for each part that doesn't make it so obvious that these are like, well, yeah, because the second part could have had a title that was something more like KingVon and YoungBoy, whereas the first part would be more like all the shit that happened basically in Baton Rouge. Those are kind of like very distinct storylines, and you probably would have been able to kind of chop the thing in half and probably have it be sort of like that, right?
Well, a lot of people have said to me, like, why don't you do the video in parts? And it's just like,
Who watched the
yeah,
documentary all at
I'd
one
make more
time?
money doing that, to be honest with you. And I'd probably have a lot more sanity doing that. But like realistically, for me, at least at the time, like I'm trying to pop out with a 6-hour video and blow everyone's mind. Like that's what I was trying to do.
I like the
like,
I like the ambition of just saying, hey, here it is. If you don't want to watch 6 hours, fuck off. I've been writing the history of no.
And let me tell y'all another reason why he most likely didn't want to split it up. Because a lot of times when you do videos that have different parts to it, a lot of people don't see that other part or the first part or the second part. You know what I'm saying? They either see one of the two. And I realized that as I was doing videos on the Savage Kid, BTB Savage, a lot of people were seeing like my third and fourth video that I did, but they didn't see the first and second. And they'll, you know, have questions of what this is. And I'm like, bro, I done did 2-3 videos before this video. You got to go back and watch the other video. So that's why a lot of YouTubers, when they be breaking down situations like this, they try to keep it all in one video. Because if you drop a first half and that person is not subscribed to the channel, it just come up on their feed and they watch it, 9 times out of 10, they not going to subscribe. Like most of y'all that's watching is not subscribed. For real, for real. Let's be honest. And then he dropped part 2. Y'all don't see it. And part 2 might be the good part. So, hey, shit.
No jumper video. And I really, it pains me the extent to which I procrastinate on this, because so much of the videos is personal and it's hard for me to just sit down. Like a lot of times when I sit down in front of the computer at the end of the day, I want to disassociate. I want to watch some video about some rapper, or I want to watch a video about like, you know, some stand-up comedian beef or something. I don't want to sit there and think about myself more, because being on camera is so about yourself and you have to constantly be thinking about yourself. Even right now, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm sitting in this position. Do I look okay? Should I be sitting in a different way?
And also, the longer the video, the more ads you can put on the video and the more money. Let's be real. The longer your video and it get monetized, the more money you can make off that video. He almost had 2 million views on a 6-hour video. That's some bread right there. He ain't got to upload no more for the next 2 months. For real, for real.
Should I be talking?
That's technically, he technically on the average YouTube channel, he dropped a video, that one video, 6 hours. He literally probably made 30 videos to a normal YouTuber. That's 30 videos to a normal YouTube. That dude average 10, you know what I'm saying? Not even that. It's probably 60 videos.
Differently, do I sound smart right now, etc., you know? But like, I find it fucking challenging as shit to actually sit down on that. I actually don't think that there's anything in the last couple.
Yeah, bro, I watched the whole video. I started watching it like 3 in the morning. I started working out. Started watching like 3 in the morning. I finished. Shit. Do the math. I watched it though.
Couple years of my life that I've procrastinated, like the way I've been procrastinating on writing this History of No Jumper video. But yeah, okay. Here's a question that I just really wanted to ask: is you're coming off of the hype of the KingVon video? You're arguing. I feel like that video definitely made noise on a level that you had never reached before. And you had conversations with me about this before. Like, you one time asked me, like, how do I become really big? You probably didn't word it like that, but you were like, there's Ak, there's Vlad, there's No Jumper. How do I get myself to the point where I'm mentioned in that conversation, was essentially what you were getting at. And I remember thinking about it and kind of saying, like, well, I've done like 1,500 interviews, but I feel like the thing that made me who I am is the fact that I interviewed X, and that got 21 million views. And that just did more for my career than 100 or 200 or 300 regular ass interviews could ever do. That one that was just a
nah, bro, because I was really, like, I ain't gonna lie, the reason why I watched the whole video, the whole 6-hour video, because I was gonna break it down. I got a whole notebook that I was breaking down certain parts of the video and getting information, and I was gonna just drop like 10 videos off that shit. But then I changed my mind and just dropped one and was like, fuck it. But I had a purpose, the reason why I watched the whole video, because I was gonna break it down and speak on every part, every top topic that he spoke on. But then I changed my mind.
knock out of the park thing. And I could have never known it, which is different than the KingVon thing, where obviously, like, you probably at a certain point kind of had the idea of like, oh, this is actually worth putting this much time into. And I think it's actually like served that purpose, where like the KingVon documentary kind of took you and put you in a different category where like people just talk about you like you're the guy in hip hop who's going to do these crazy ass crime / hip hop documentaries, the same way that 1090 Jake has officially exposed enough snitches that he's the snitch exposer guy. Even if he never does it again, people are still probably going to keep talking about him like that. So coming off the success of the KingVon video, where was your headspace at, and what was your thought process about exactly what content you were going to take on from there?
Yeah, man, it was a crazy time. You know, I thought the Von video would do well. Even when I was uploading it, dude, I had my doubts. I was kind of thinking like, you know, Von's been gone for a while. No disrespect, but like people weren't talking about Von like they were talking about him when he was alive doing all of this stuff.
Right.
And there was a part of me that was like, if this could flop. And I was off the back of my Eminem video, which like didn't do that well. It kind of got shadow banned for certain content that was included in it. But so I was kind of feeling like, bro, this is a sort of like not my last swing, but like I was kind of like, damn, man, this thing's got to go well. I never thought it would go this well because I'd done Von content before and it had done okay, it done decent, but it wasn't like my biggest thing.
What was the title on the previous Von video?
It was something like the what was it? Man, I can't even remember.
Serial killer holds a certain weight.
Yeah, facts. Because I knew serial killer documentaries are super, you know, super sought after pieces of content in general. You know, I knew what I was doing with that title. I didn't know it would go to the level it did. I didn't know that Von's people.
I still might drop it.
I didn't know they'd be trying to shut the channel down. I didn't know that they'd be getting the video taken down, attacking the Patreon, all type of stuff.
Attacking the Patreon? How you do that?
Oh man, there's some stuff that they can do. You know, Chicago Scene 88 had a madness with Chicago guys fucking with his Patreon.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. It was fine in the end for me, but he had it worse. But anyway, I think that got resolved. But anyway, yeah, I guess to really answer your question, as far as like you know, the plan originally, and I wasn't expecting to do a 3.5-hour Von video. Like, I wanted to, at the end of 2022, do a trilogy of videos. I wanted to do like biography life stories on Von, YoungBoy, and Dirk. Like, I wanted to do this 3-video. I wanted to do like because basically these, at the time, it was like these were the most fascinating artists in hip hop, and it was who everyone was talking about. I had a whole bunch of shit going behind the scenes where I lost my editor, and then I had a new editor, and then my editor snaked me, and just all sorts of bad stuff went down.
Right.
But like, essentially the plan was I was just going to drop this trilogy, and you know, then it was kind of like the Von thing ended up taking months to produce. So when it finally came out, and then it was a huge thing, it was bigger than I ever thought. In my head, I was just going to drop like a Von video, a YoungBoy video, a Dirk video, like 3, you know, hour and a half docs, and those 3 were going to kind of be like this legendary run. In the end, the Von thing just was such a huge thing. It almost like took me to a whole new level, but then also like made it really hard for me to take a next step. Then I started doing the YoungBoy video, and to be honest, man, there was a lot of pressure, bro, to follow up the Von thing. You know, I had never done anything so big. It was ultimately an impossible task of like, how can I follow this thing up? There's no way that I can top what the Von thing did. So I really set out. I was like, you know what? I need to like accomplish something bigger in terms of like scope of the project. So I was like, let me do this YoungBoy documentary and really try and like do the deepest dive into YoungBoy I could possibly do. And, you know, just the more I looked into his career, like the more I found interesting stuff. And it was just kind of like, I'm just going to do everything. I'm going to do the definitive YoungBoy docu series, really. Like, I know it's 6 hours. I really see it as like a Netflix mini series where people might watch it in 6-hour-long parts. But it was just like, I was trying to top that. I knew it wasn't going to top the Von thing, but I just wanted to top the idea. And I feel like I did that. I'm so proud of the YoungBoy thing, man. Like, I've never seen anything that comprehensive in music.
No,
like,
yeah. And I needed a lot of that explanation as well, because I remember even like, I remember meeting, I forget who I was interviewing, but whoever it was, their team started talking to me about Lit Yoshi. And I had just watched the documentary. This was a couple years ago. I had just watched some video on YouTube, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy's fucking crazy. And they were like, what do you know? And I was like, you know, I don't really remember or whatever. But like, I needed that refresher on exactly how all that shit played out, because it was so like complicated, because it's a little different with Chicago, where so many people are well known. Whereas like even this thing that's been going on with like Psycho Bob's mom getting killed and all that kind of shit, when you actually start breaking down who all these different characters are in the story, a lot of the people that, you know, someone like him was beefing with have like an average of like 10,000 views per video. So it's a little bit harder to make the fans interested when your ops are so irrelevant. No offense, I hope those guys don't kill me for saying that, but you know, it's like a little bit harder to get people tuned in. Whereas with Chicago, even if you don't know who the exact person is, well, you probably know the name of the hood that they're from, right? So if they're from THF or they're from 051 or whatever, at least you have like a reference point. You're like, oh, okay, that's where this guy, and this guy are from. So therefore, I kind of get who this guy is, even if I don't know anything about him. But man, yeah, like, did you bring anything new to the table in terms of a lot of the Baton Rouge talk, or was that kind of like mostly stuff that you were able to find in other smaller documentaries?
I'm trying to set them up.
You don't really talk to people, like you don't have conversations with people who aren't public about your content, right? Because that would kind of be like the next level of where you could take all this, right?
Yeah, this is the funny thing, is that like, you know, I saw Academics kind of giving his take on the documentary. You know, I really appreciate him reacting to it, and his take was kind of like, oh, you know, the YoungBoy thing didn't really bring anything new to the table. And really, like, I gotta be real, like, my approach has never really been to expose secret info about the scene, or like to try and you know, hack into someone's info, or even like you know, get some private dirt off somebody in the DMs. Like, my approach has always been to like cast the net out to everything publicly available and bring it all together, bring the lyrics in line with the social media post, in line with the news article. Like, that's kind of like the trifecta.
And you know what I'm saying, when Academics said that shit, I'm like, what is you talking about? Like, Academics was expecting him to exposed shit that we didn't know. But then if he exposed shit that we didn't know about YoungBoy, then that would be another story. You know what I'm saying? We'll say he really tripping. But like he said, everything he put in the documentary is already public. It's already online. It's already his tweets, his videos, his lives. You know what I'm saying? It's court documents that's already public. Now, if he would have been exposing shit that we didn't know about, then I would feel some type of way. I would be like, Trap Lord Ross was tweaking. But like I said, this NBA YoungBoy documentary, I don't feel like he really crossed the line. He really did a good job doing this documentary compared to the KingVon documentary, because he didn't accuse NBA YoungBoy of being a killer. He didn't accuse NBA YoungBoy of, committing these crimes. What he did was he just reviewed everything that been going on, and then he left it up to us to decide: is he a fraud, or is he really a killer? And I'd rather him go that route than do the route what he did with KingVon. Basically, he was saying, goddamn it, KingVon killed these people. KingVon did this. Like, I didn't agree with that, but I understood it being a blogger. So I really felt like Academics was really tripping when he was saying he ain't give us no new information. Like, nigga, what you want him to do? Goddamn it.
Trifecta of trap law kind of like proving a piece of information. It's the Lit Yoshi and Seven Hardaway shooting up the ops on camera that's in the Baton Rouge News. It's them on social media in the car in the same outfit, like celebrating the shooting. And then
right. So y'all mean to tell me motherfuckers is mad that he talked about a situation where these motherfuckers snitching on themselves? You live committing a crime. You live committing a crime. So motherfuckers got a problem with him doing a video about you going live yourself committing a crime? Like, come on, man. Let's be for real.
Then it's 1 week later, Lit Yoshi's dropping a song where he's rapping exactly what he did. Like, I've never been the guy like 1090 Jake, and respect to him, who kind of like is digging up paperwork, talking to people directly, getting paperwork dropped off to him in person. And I could never do what he does. And the same way, I don't think he could or would want to do what I do, because it's a completely different approach. And my thing really is just like, I know how to find public information that's maybe hidden or overlooked. And it's really a case of like, I know YoungBoy, a lot of the YoungBoy subreddit and stuff, people were like, oh, this trap law documentary sucked. Ain't nothing new. It's everything we already knew. And it's sort of like, I doubt you already knew all of this stuff together in order, in context. Like,
also,
the
if
magic really happens.
Yeah, if you care enough to be in the YoungBoy Reddit, then you're probably not really the target market, since like, yeah, you as a super fan probably know all this stuff. Obviously, when you make a 6-hour documentary on YouTube, you're aiming to hit a wider audience.
And that's my thing too. Motherfuckers be mad at the bloggers and all this, but why I haven't not one time seen nobody say nothing about Reddit. Reddit have all the info and they be solving fucking crimes. Why do y'all not talk about Reddit? Like, motherfuckers be pissed at these motherfuckers right here. Y'all call them culture vultures. But y'all ain't saying nothing about Reddit. Reddit do more fucking police work than anybody online. Like, please answer that for me. Why nobody don't say nothing about Reddit? Because Reddit tell you shit that nobody knows. Reddit expose shit that haven't even been public. And they don't say allegedly, goddammit. They let you know this person killed such and such Monday. And show you why they feel that way.
I never forget, like, I feel like the moment things really changed for me is when I did my Jacksonville gang documentary. And before the KingVon thing, that was the biggest thing I'd done. And it really surprised me because my mom hit me up And she was like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that Gangster Florida documentary you did. I watched all of it. I found it really interesting." And that was like the first time where I was like, damn, I put that together. I explained where Jacksonville is. I explained everything about the Jacksonville music scene, the Jacksonville police, and all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't really realize at the time, but I was like, damn, I made something that was completely accessible. And like, my mom likes true crime. And like, she tuned in and watched the whole 2 hours of that thing. She doesn't usually tune into my stuff. She doesn't care about hip hop. She doesn't care about 6ix9ine's beefs. But that was the moment when I realized, like, no, what I do, it's really about taking all of this hip hop drill lore and making it like accessible for the average person, for the average true crime fan or the average documentary watcher. And I feel like that's where my skill really is. If you're a Chiracologist and you know everything there is to know about Chirac, you probably know more than me. Like, you might not learn anything new from the documentary, but at the same time, it's going to be 2 hours where everything is going to be laid out in the simplest terms so that you can understand from start to finish. And that's where I see my talent as being, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Or even something like laying out the baby mamas. Like that's just something I would have never had the patience to actually figure out. I just knew he had a shitload of baby mamas. I'm not thinking about like exactly who they are and how they play into each other. Or I've read all these headlines about the baby mamas and how they interact over the years, but I never really got, fully focused in on exactly what it's about. So give me like how do you even begin on the YoungBoy thing? Do you just start writing, or you just start compiling information and bringing it all together so that you can then start writing at a certain point? And also, how much help did you have on this? Because there is part of me that kind of felt like a bunch of the different sections were maybe written by different people, or is that just me being a little conspiracy minded?
It's a little from column A, a little from column B. So
Okay.
essentially, like, I've got a full-time researcher, Miko, who is amazing. Shout out to Miko. He's sort of was like my right-hand man now when it comes to research. I had another guy, Josh, who, shout out to him, he was helping me out for part of the project. But ultimately, like, what we do is essentially like we kind of go to work just trying to find like all of the most important pieces of information and then putting them into a documentary and putting them in order. So like, it's really a case of like, for me with YoungBoy, it was a case of like working out, okay, what are the most interesting things and the important things we got to break down? And it was sort of like, okay, look, the beef with Von, it's partly about Von's relationship with Asian Doll and YoungBoy's baby mama Jania. So it's kind of like, okay, we got to explain who Jania is. Really, we probably got to explain who all the different baby mamas that YoungBoy has, because they're all kind of intertwined. And it's essentially like the Jania thing. It's kind of like these baby mamas are a vulnerability for YoungBoy. And other things, it was like, oh, he's got a baby with Floyd Mayweather's daughter. Like, that's interesting. Let's make sure that we explore that and put that in there. And it just really is a case of like, obviously, like, yeah, the death of G Money, the death of his manager Big Dump, the fact that Lit Yoshi was just terrorizing Baton Rouge for years and never getting caught. And it was really just a case of like finding out information, laying it out step by step, putting it all in order. And I know it's a 6-hour documentary, and people are like, oh, you could have cut that down. There was a lot of stuff that didn't make it into the documentary. The beef with Jay the Young'un didn't make it into the documentary. There's a whole situation in Baton Rouge, the sort of like the Bleeders gang and the Vultures and all this stuff, that ultimately in the end I was just like, no, this is a documentary about NBA YoungBoy. This is a documentary about YoungBoy's career. It's a documentary about YoungBoy's allegations. There's supposed bodies that like weren't part of this documentary because I didn't think they mattered to the story that I was really trying to tell.
How Adam hating.
Got the beef with Von, the situation with Dirk, even his friendship with Quando, where it's kind of like, I've got to actually explain like how he found Quando, how he signed Quando, and like how Dirk was trying to sign YoungBoy and was trying to sign Quando and was calling out Quando as like one of his favorite artists. And then YoungBoy snaps up Quando when Dirk's kind of like courting him. It's like, these are all little tidbits of information that people might be like, yeah, we already knew that. But it's like, when I put all of that into context, as far as like all of this shit led up to the KingVon beef and then KingVon dying, and then Dirk and YoungBoy are going back and forth. It's like, it is very difficult and very complicated to make it so that somebody that doesn't know any of this stuff can get it. Like, I got to explain who Quando is. I got to explain who Von is. I got to explain what Chicago drill music is. I had to do a quick whistle stop explanation of Dirk's career. There was a part in the doc where I kind of say like, Dirk was really this like veteran of Chicago drill who kind of fell off for a minute, and YoungBoy kind of surpassed Dirk in every way. And then Dirk kind of, like, let's be real, Dirk's career picked up when KingVon came back around, and Von really put that gangster battery back into Dirk's back. And it was really that kind of energy and that era that Dirk really went to the next level. You know, it's sometimes, I didn't mention it in this documentary, but it's like easy to forget that like Dirk's real heyday was when he did that song with Drake, and that was like a couple months before Von died, and that was peak King Von season, right? So it's kind of like all of this info, all of this context is like really hard for people to understand. So I lay it all out step by step. We're on, you know, watching every single IG live YoungBoy's ever done. You know, he did a live with Dirk. Let's check that. Is there anything interesting in there? You know, reading all these Dirk interviews where YoungBoy gets mentioned, and it's just like it's just so much.
I've been
content.
saying Dirk and Dirk
me and another guy full time,
Dirk.
and another guy was kind of helping out part time.
Okay,
but yeah, there's a lot to get through.
Because like unintended consequences of your documentary is that like I was never super tuned into Quando Rondo, so when I was watching your documentary and I see him like at his live show and he's got the audience screaming neighborhood back at him and all this shit, and he's throwing up 5 million different gang signs and shit. I had never been so tuned in that I realized that he was going hard for neighborhood like that. And then I watched the documentary and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is why people thought that it was so funny when Big U called him out for hitting him up for protection or whatever back in the day. And then it even kind of like colors like the little Pab situation where you all of a sudden kind of understand more and more of like how these things are all sort of interconnected. And I mean, honestly, though, now I'm like a way bigger Quando Rondo fan than I was before I watched this documentary. So if people want to say that you don't like cause people to actually get music fans, I have to question that, because I went and listened to the YoungBoy and Quando album just to like, you know, and one thing that amazes me is how I can listen to the whole thing and barely catch up on any of the KingVon disses, because they rap really fast. They sort of like smush bars together and stuff. If it wasn't for your documentary, I would not have picked up on like 90% of the bars that are clearly aimed at Dirk and Von in all that. But then that like is sending me back deeper into Apple Music and listening to all these other Quando songs, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm supposed to be an Oblockian. Why the fuck am I getting sucked down the Quando Rondo rabbit hole right now? But it did have that unintended effect on me.
Yeah, I actually did. I've written a Quando documentary as well that kind of like fills in the gaps and kind of goes back and looks at his history, like in Savannah, because you know Savannah's no joke, man. Savannah, Georgia's got a lot of serious street activity. You know, I've dug into like Lil Tim's past in the streets, and there's a lot of interesting stuff out there that has been massively overlooked.
And is this likely to come out?
Yeah. That. So the funny thing is, I wrote that in between the Von and the YoungBoy doc. And I just had a whole situation with an editor that didn't deliver the video in the end. So that video's been on ice. So we're hoping to kind of get that one done. I'm hoping to drop that out next. But that's actually been done a while. I need to update it because a lot of stuff's happened. Like Tim's beat his case. He's dropped a new song. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened since that video was written. But I really like what you said, because like in the course of doing that video, I really ripped apart like all of Quando's discography. And I think Quando is such a talented and overlooked artist. I think he is actually really one of the best people out. And I would say Quando's Recovery album is one of the best albums of the year. It was absolutely incredible. And that guy is truly blacklisted.
Yeah. And it also feels like maybe signing with YoungBoy might have kind of like cast him in a weird light, because YoungBoy is so good that it's like it's hard for him to stand out when he's kind of doing a lot of the same things musically, and YoungBoy is so good and so famous and so well known for it. It's kind of hard for Quando to stand on his own 2 feet when he's always going to be compared to him, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think it says a lot about how loyal Quando has been to YoungBoy. I mean, whether or not you believe that, you know, obviously the whole situation that happened with Von, it was connected to YoungBoy. It was, and you know, Quando caught the brunt of what was essentially what appeared to be a beating with YoungBoy's name on it. Realistically, like Von was really gunning for YoungBoy, trying to beef with the top dog, and was, you know, essentially what seemed like trying to beat up his artist. And then, you know, everything went left how it did, and you know, Tim started shooting, the cops started shooting, and it went how it went. But it was like that was ultimately like off the back of, you know, YoungBoy being the top dog and Von kind of wanting to kind of, you know, fan the flames a little bit and try and make more of a name for himself. But like Quando has been ultimately like a soldier for NBA, you know, you could say in a lot of ways. And really like Quando in his career has suffered the most for a beef that really had like YoungBoy's name on it.
I know, and it's so insane to me that Dirk apparently has the power to like blacklist somebody like Quando for something that, if you look at it objectively, it's really, well, I mean, Quantarano did nothing wrong aside from, I guess, talking shit about Vaughn after the fact in the music. You can object to that. But I mean, it's not like he chose to pull the trigger for Lil Tim, and it's not like he chose to be getting punched in the face by Vaughn. It's kind of hard to like even the 6ix9ine blackballing. I mean, it only makes sense in the sense of like people don't like 6ix9ine, but like, you know, we're blackballing people off of Apple Music playlists because they snitched. Like, that just doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. You want to blackball Tory Lanez or R. Kelly? Okay, I think that makes sense, especially people who have been convicted of these crimes, but especially a crime where somebody, even the person who pulled the trigger, got off on self-defense. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, that just seems like really bizarre. But okay, so one of the other things that I wanted to say, oh yeah, so just to talk about this, it feels like the Academics YouTube channel has kind of gone a little bit dark over the course of the past year or two.
What you saying?
He's clearly kind of chosen like streaming over what was always his thing, which is his, I'm going to call them like semi-scripted. When you talk about the videos that he's always like, probably the stuff that you originally liked him for and everything, is like, I don't think they're scripted, but I think he gets a lot of the information together and is able to sort of like reference it all very quickly, as opposed to the streaming thing. Do you think that kind of like opened up a window for a lot of people like 1090 Jake and Swamp Stories, et cetera, to sort of start covering that stuff? Because I was pushing the line when we were on call the other day.
So he basically saying that DJ Academics basing his channel now more off just streaming instead of actually making videos and putting out information and news. And I feel like what I think it is, DJ Academics, he rather just go live and just cut the videos and make little small clips because it's quicker and it's time, you know what I'm saying, consuming when you got to do these videos and do these edits. DJ Academics, y'all don't realize that he's bigger than what he actually looks like. You know what I'm saying? He have a lot of stuff going on. So I think it's a time thing. So he rather just go live and just talk for about 6 hours and then come back and have his team just take clips that out of the live and just upload them. So we no longer getting those videos that like stuff like I drop or any other YouTuber drop. When it's breaking news, we put a video together and let you know what's going on and give you the backstory. Academics is no longer necessarily doing that. But what I think it is, I think what he's doing is working for him. It's best for him. He actually got like 15 channels. I don't know if y'all know, but Academic got like 15 fucking channels, man. And all he do is just go live for like 7 hours and put different clips on different channels and just run up a bag. But Academics used to, you know, break news like any other YouTuber, but I didn't really pay attention that he switched it. So I don't think it really like hurting his channel. Because y'all like lives anyway. Y'all like when a motherfucker go live anyway. So I don't know. I don't think that really hurting his channel.
Today I was saying you should have never stopped doing War in Chirac. Now I understand why you stopped, but in retrospect, I think it seems to me like it would have been probably from a content perspective, I would have kept doing it if I were you. Now, I also think he probably would have never got a Spotify deal if he had kept doing that, if he had fully like leaned in on the bloodthirstiness. But it definitely opened the door for a lot of other people to do similar stuff. Like how do you look at that? And if you were Academics, would you get back on the semi-scripted main channel videos as well?
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting point that you made. I watched the interview when you said to him kind of like, why didn't you get a whole team of people and do the war in America and do the war in every state? You could do Jacksonville, you could do the Bronx, you could do all this stuff. And I kind of agreed with you. And I feel like I think that Axe sees himself as more of a mature creator. I think he feels like he's stepped up. I don't think he'd want to take what he would see as a step down. But also, I feel like Axe did nothing wrong as far as like the hate that he gets from the war in Chirac. People never like he has made his defense, which I think is valid, where he says like it was a satire. I was trying to really poke fun at the ridiculousness that these guys were so brutal and so, like, as he would say, savage. As far as like, you know, I was calling Lil Reese the Grim Reaper and all of this stuff, and it's like I feel like a lot of people that criticize him, like they're not willing to accept that like he was satirizing it, and he was one of the first people that had even discovered this subculture. And to some now, someone like me exists with all of the knowledge and all of the I've seen all the war in Chirac, and I've seen the Louis Theroux documentaries on different gangs, and I'm trying to bring a very
And that's facts, man. I don't think your boy Academics get enough credit. If it wasn't for Academics and his YouTube channel back in the day, the one Chirac, it's a lot of people from Chicago y'all wouldn't even know exist. You know what I'm saying? And he got a lot of backlash for talking about the situation in the war that was going on in Chicago. But I'm not gonna lie, man, he had no bad intentions. If you go back and listen to them videos, he's actually making fun of these guys. He's actually doing it like these guys is stupid, like for even doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But the shit blew up because why? We love bullshit. We love violence. So we got attached to watching and seeing who he gonna talk about next, or what person from Chicago did next, what next? Like, you know what I'm saying? In a situation where he was making fun of people, it turned out to be something else. And it really made these people from Chicago big. And he was really trying to belittle them. But hey, I feel he shouldn't have stopped, man. Because if you worry about the opinions of others, you would never accomplish nothing. Because it's always going to be somebody that don't like what you do. So I agree that he shouldn't have stopped, but I also agree with Adam. If he would have stayed on it and stayed talking about the violence, he wouldn't have got them deals how he got now, though. So that's facts. It's a gift and a curse. Yin yang type of thing.
very level-headed approach to when I talk about gang politics. None of that existed back when Ak was doing the war in Chirac. He was the first guy. He literally opened the door and walked into a crime scene and was like, what the fuck? And I think that actually that reflects in his content, and I don't think he deserves the hate that he got for it.
And I love the idea that like a
should
person 10 years into their career will be judged by like the tone of the content that they first made when they entered into the game. That is what you should be judged on, not the stuff you're doing currently, but the tone, not even just the existence of the content. And you also realize that the vast majority of people that say something negative about the war at Chirac never even seen it in the first place, right? Like, it's just the vast majority of people will never go back and watch a video. They just hear the name and they're like, well, that sounds offensive. That sounds like something that somebody should not be doing. They're kind of offended by the notion of it.
Y'all hit that like button.
Yeah, it's to me seems like the worst, most bad faith reason to invalidate his content. And I don't know, when I see just like how copied it is, sometimes I'm like, damn, dude, like you could have definitely kept churning those videos out if you had maybe like got a little bit of a team in place to do it. But also it probably would have held him back from a lot of other things as well, you know.
I said to him when I met him for off the record, when we linked up in Miami, like I said to him, I pitched this idea to him that I might.
So you think he added fuel to his own fire though, because he was good on opening the door, but it seemed like he started to think he was bigger than everyone else. Who is everyone else? Like, what made you? He started dissing people. And see, this goes back to, you know, what up, Carrera? This goes back to a scenario where people don't realize and recognize or don't acknowledge the fact of, just think about in school, a bully hit somebody, and then when somebody hit the bully back, the teacher always see the person that hit the bully back, but they never see what the bully do. Like, think about it. Why would AK at that time in his career, Academics, just start dissing people for nothing? No, people was bashing him for his content. So he's talking shit back. No matter what is he doing, no matter if you feel like you didn't like his content, but people was bashing him. People was taking shots at him. So he's taking shots back. We got, like, when you look at something, you got to look at the whole situation. And this not just to you, Charged Up, but this just period. This to everybody. Like, come on, man. Like, let's be for real. Academics, a lot of people was at his head when he was doing those videos. If I'm dropping a video every day and I'm doing good, and this motherfucker study hating on me, study taking shots at me, eventually I'm finna start taking shots back. Eventually I'm finna start talking shit back. Did y'all expect him just to not say nothing? He made a name for himself. He got a right to take up for himself. He got a right to pop his shit. And y'all don't get it twisted. Just because somebody talk they shit, that don't mean they feel they better than everybody else. They got the right to. They put the work in. If I grind my ass off, why I can't pull my own tailcoat? Why I can't pull my own tailcoat? That was my blood, sweat, and tears that I put in. Why I can't pop my shit? That don't mean I'm better than everybody. That just mean, goddamn it, I'm happy I did what I'm supposed to do to get where I'm at.
I have to just do on my own because he didn't like it. But I said to him, like, bro, have you ever thought of going back and retelling the war in Chirac in more of a level-headed tone? Like, he could take the war in Chirac to someone like Netflix and say, let's do a 6-part, 10-part miniseries where we actually go back and retell those stories with the hindsight, with the, you know, with the tone that now we know everything. Now we've had 10 years to digest and realize this gang war going on in Chicago is really no joke. And, like, you know, go and meet Tuka's mom, or go and, you know, meet Lil Reese and talk to him about, like, being the Grim Reaper and, like, what life really was like going through that. Like, I've always felt like, why not go back and with a big budget and rewrite history and kind of set the record straight on War in Chirac? But I don't think, again, I don't think he wants to go backwards with his career. And, you know, he's a real kind of pioneer in this space. So, you know, I kind of feel like I can't really question his decisions. But as a fan of the War in Chirac, I would have loved to have seen him kind of like remake it, you know, do the sequel and do it in a way that kind of sets things straight.
Right, but like so that's kind of part of what I was thinking though, is that I think Ak has like a standard for how important a story needs to be in order for him to cover it, right? And it seems like he kind of has a hard time finding stories that seem interesting enough to warrant like a 8 to 10 minute video on his main channel going through the details of it. And I don't blame him, because the difference between his channel now and 5 years ago is that 5 years ago there was just a lot that needed to be decoded and explained, and nowadays it feels like you're just so used to seeing like a Daily Loud post or a you know, Instagram post that will have like a short caption and basically summarize the entire news story to such an extent that you don't really feel like you need to, you know, go watch a YouTube video about this. And you kind of see it in the views too, where I think he did a video about Nicki and Cardi's husbands, Offset being one of them, Big Zoo being the other, going at it. And it's like, that's a pretty big story, you know, like these are two of the biggest rappers and their husbands are beefing. That's a pretty big story. I think it did like 95K when I looked on his channel, which to me maybe is like a sign that the people have grown a little bit like fatigued of the up to the minute hip hop news stories. And like, you know, we see it too, where it could be the.
And I'm gonna say Adam is wrong right now. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I think some of academics content don't do crazy numbers is because academics is not coming out like he used to. It's all about who get in the algorithm and drop that video soon as it hit the press. And academics came and talked about that situation like 2 days later. You feel what I'm saying? So 9 times out of 10, 10, 10 times out of 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 Like 95,000 views is still great. You feel me? But at the same time, he's trying to calculate it to the number of subscribers that Academics got. If Academics would have talked about that situation the first day it happened, he probably would have had 300,000-400,000. But he talked about it late. And at the same time, that's a blessing when you could talk about a video or drop a video 2 days after it happens. That just shows, and that bitch do 95,000. That just shows that you got a cult following that gonna watch your shit regardless if they seen what happened already or not. So I don't think that means like his people just ain't rocking with him. No, like I said, Academic got a lot of shit going on. Like he ain't got time. Oh, Cardi B, Offset, Nicki Minaj and her boyfriend or her husband get into it with such and such. He ain't got time. Oh, I'm finna go drop a video. You feel me? I drop the video on that shit, go live on that shit when I sit down and get a chance. Or when I come back in town. You know what I'm saying? He's not obligated to having to go hurry up and drop a video no more because his name, his channel already solidified.
Be the most interesting story in the world, and we could cut a clip from it. And if it comes out like 2 days after the incident in question, unless you have the kind of channel like yours where people are just like very certain that you're going to be bringing new information to the table, and like Ak has the reputation of bringing correct and well-researched information, but I feel like a lot of times people just don't feel the need to click on a 10-minute video when they feel like they got all that they needed from TikTok or Instagram. So it's kind of like a weird new media space that we live in, and it's kind of shocking how astute the fans are and how capable they are of making decisions about what they want to watch and what to avoid, because you know there's just so much content out there that it's very the allure of not watching something is pretty strong at this point as well.
I think Academics has grown a lot over the years as a creator, though, because it's like the thing is, back when he was doing the 10-minute videos originally, you know, early when he was doing like the Meek and Drake beef and shit like that, he was head honcho. Nobody else was doing it. He was sort of ahead of the curve, really, as far as doing like hip hop media reporting. Whereas now, you know, Nicki's husband and what was it, Offset, get into a beef, and a million people have made a million 10-minute videos on it within 5 minutes, and it's just kind of like everybody's doing it. So Flacco will have a video about it, you guys will have a reaction to it, and you know, Academics is sort of like just shouting into the noise, but he ultimately like created that scene. You know, all of the people making those videos are basically his sons at this point. And ultimately, the way Ak does things now is it's kind of like, yes, you could spend a couple of hours putting together a little 10-minute video and drop it. But the way Ak operates now is he's less like a TV show and he's more like the 24-hour Fox News for hip hop, because he'll be on stream drinking Henny and reacting to the shit as it happens, and kind of, you know, do an hour-long clip that'll be.
So I think it's too flooded if the same news. Sometimes I feel that way, but I look at it like this. It's a lot of subscribers that don't watch other people. And then it's not about the same news, because I can drop a video about a situation. Another YouTuber could drop a video about the same situation. My video and their video is not the same, because that don't mean that I broke it down the way they did or they broke it down the way I did. Like, for instance, just off the top of my head, like Tavi, who I brung on Triple Threat Friday. Tavi, all his videos is like under 2 minutes. Majority, 90% of Tavi videos is under 2 minutes. He basically just tell you what happened. Hey, man, Nicki Minaj husband and Offset them got into it today, man. Nicki Minaj husband was looking for Offset. You know what I'm saying? He like just give you straight up what happened, like was looking for Offset. But me, I'm going to go and break it down. I'm going to go show you the video of Nicki Minaj husband looking for Offset. I'm going to go show you the video of Offset response. You know what I'm saying? So you looking at the same topic, but it's two different videos. And then somebody else might come along and just drop the beef and go all the way back to why it all started and go into more depth than I did. So for all my YouTubers, that's a lesson learned. Just because everybody dropping the same content, that don't mean not drop your content, because these other people might not go the same route you go. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, I see Tavi drop, he just let you know what happened. Hey, such and such got shot, man. Y'all be safe. But I'm going to go show you what happened, the video and all this here. Then there's other YouTubers that's going to go back and give you the whole damn timeline. Well, they was beefing in 93. You know what I'm saying? So you getting different shit. It's the same topic, but you getting different content. But like I say, that's why it's good to build a cult following, because your people gonna watch you regardless, no matter if they seen the videos or other channels speak on it. They gonna watch you regardless because they support you. And that's what I'm trying to build right now. And hey, it's gonna come together soon. Trust me.
Will be live and will be out before anyone else has even had a chance to react to it. And you know, realistically, like, and it's no disrespect to Ak, because doing live stuff is different to doing a crafted 10-minute video that has all the info. Like, Ak will be on live sort of being like, oh, where's the info? Scrolling through, trying to find stuff, but delivering it first. Whereas it's like, you know, that might be an hour-long clip, and a lot of it might be him kind of like trying to find the information rather than actually delivering it. But I feel like he's probably doing better financially and relevancy-wise by doing his sort of like live stream approach to things, you know, because that's where things are going.
It's weird because it's like, from my perspective, I have kind of been driven in the direction of building a business and monetizing as well as possible. So like a lot of the interviews that we do, we're going to chop it up and we're going to put out the clips first, because that's realistically the way to make the most money off of a piece of content, which you see Say Cheese do the same thing and Vlad do the same thing, etc. If you don't have like some big name sponsor on your video, that's pretty much the best way that you could go about making as much money from it as possible. Whereas when I look at what Ak does, if he sits on stream for 6 hours, it's like YouTube streaming rates are garbage. You're going to make, you know, very, very low amounts, like couple $100 from being on stream for a few hours. And then you cut up all the clips, but you want to post the clips right away, so you don't have time to wait for them to get reviewed. So sometimes I look at that and I'm like, it's the best way to engage an audience, both in real time and after the fact, in terms of making a lot of clips. But at the same time, like, if that was my day-to-day, I don't think that I would be able to really like pay a staff in the way that I do now, because that's just not really like leaning in the direction of like optimizing for money. But then at the same time, like, it looks fun. And a lot of times I think about it like, fuck, if I'm going to get up in the morning and watch YouTube videos and read the news and like check out Twitter and get caught up on everything that's going on news-wise, why don't I just do a daily stream where I just post up and kind of do it? I don't know, though. Sometimes it just doesn't, like, I overbook myself with interviews so much that I can't really like be that guy on a day-to-day basis, which kind of bothers me, because there's a part of me, like, when I see him reacting to an interview clip that I did, and like the interview itself got like 50K, and then he reacts to a clip from it and it gets 150K, there's definitely a moment where I'm like, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, is this a good use of my time, or did I go in the wrong direction? Because it feels like the reacting is what makes a lot of content hit. Sometimes I feel like I should do an interview and drop a reaction video to my own content the same day on another channel or something.
There's something weird going on at the moment, man, with this reaction content, because it's like, I'm kind of like you, like, I'm trying to build the staff. I'm trying to get to the point where I can drop a full documentary every month. And
I'm finna give y'all the sauce, man. I'm gonna tell you why the reaction videos do better. I'm gonna tell you why. And I actually battle with myself with that shit every day. I be want to get on this bitch and just do reaction videos. But you know what I'm saying? It just ain't me. Like, I got it in my book where I'm finna start doing it. But this why the reaction videos do better than the actual video 9 times out of 10 that they reacting to. Is because it's about the person commentary. It's about that person personality. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm reacting to a video and I'm giving y'all laughter. We having fun. It's more like a, like it's hard to explain, but I'm giving y'all my personality around this content. You know what I'm saying? It's not just reaction. So everybody can't do it. But if you got a personality and you react to videos, people gonna like it because you're making them laugh. They want to see your reaction to certain parts of these videos. So that's why academics can react to a video and do more numbers than the video, because the people that's watching want to see his reaction to the video. It's not that Adam video not good. It just they want to see that person, academics or whoever, their favorite YouTuber, react to that video. How he gonna be acting? Is he gonna laugh? Is he gonna have a joke? You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of vibes in a sense. Facts. Like if we, it's like watching a movie and you know what I'm saying? As we watching the movie, I'm steady cracking jokes every 10, 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It got y'all laughing like a motherfucker. Like that's the vibe of the reaction. So if you got a good personality, I advise you to get on your reaction shit. Free game.
That I don't need to be working 24/7 to make that happen.
Right.
But at the same time, like the way Axe got things set up is like he's the face of everything. He's central to everything. He's the man, and nothing happens without it going through him. But at the same time, like you got to be on and ready to roll 24/7, and like that's not really the life I'm trying to live. So it's tricky, and it's like there's always going to be like 100,000 people that are going to tune in to hear Ack react to everything, and I'm one of those people. Like a lot of the times, it is kind of like some shit happens, and it's like, you know what? I ain't even going to watch the main video. I just want to hear what Ack has to say about it, because Ack is like the filter to a lot of content that is out there in the hip hop space, and it's kind of like I want to see it through the lens of Ack and the lens of like I'm not going to watch it and then watch it again on his stream and watch him react to it. But that does make me think like there is something a little bit crazy going on with the whole like fair use thing on YouTube, because obviously like fair use is very important, especially when it comes to making documentaries and doing analysis and critiquing things that have happened. But like there was that big beef a little while ago, I don't know if you followed it, of like XQC and Destiny kind of like beefing over what fair use is. And you got a guy like XQC who he's reacted to some of my stuff before. He'll literally get up out the chair and just let the video that he's reacting to run and then just keep all of the revenue. So it's a little bit like, I don't know whether there's and I'm not coming to Ack, but it's just kind of like there is something a bit strange where it's almost like people are kind of harvesting other people's content for their own uses, and then it's kind of becoming bigger than the original content.
No, because
like,
I clicked on a video I clicked on a video on Ack's channel, and it said it was like him reacting to the Trapper Ross documentary. And I watched like the first 20 minutes of it while I was doing cardio the other day. And the motherfucker probably said about 6 words throughout the first 20 minutes of the video. And I was just like, okay, never mind. But on the other hand, a lot of times I find myself saving time where if there's some viral fresh and fit moment or something on the whatever channel, or if that fucking weirdo Pearl, who I'm currently embroiled in beef with, if Pearl goes on some news.
But let me tell y'all something though, because now I have seen Ack, you know what I'm saying, and I seen the clip he talking about academics reacted to the Trap Lord Ross for like an hour and 30 minutes, and he was quiet. But if you notice, Ack could be like, okay, I'm finna pause it one more time, man, and that's it. Because when we reacting to videos, y'all be in the comments saying, stop pausing it, let it play, let it play, let it play. So a lot of times, and especially songs, because I was getting a lot of that when I was breaking down the songs. That's why I had to make it very blunt. Like, this is a breakdown. This ain't no we finna listen to the song. No, I'm finna break it down. So I'm finna stop this motherfucker a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I think what it is that academics, when he be reacting to these videos, his fans just be trying to watch it with him. Like a lot of people reaction is different. A lot of people will watch the whole video and then give a reaction after. But what that does is if you don't have a good memory, a lot of shit that you would have reacted to, you're going to forget and not speak on it. And what make it good when you stop a video, you get the person raw reaction. Because if something was crazy or make me laugh, I could stop that motherfucker and give my little joke You know what I'm saying? But if I wait to the end of the movie, I'm not gonna be that creative. It's not gonna be that genuine. It's not gonna be how it would have been if I would have stopped that motherfucker right then and there.
Who's channel and gets in an argument with the host or whatever, and if I see that Destiny reacted to it, I'm so much more likely to click on that, because it's then like, not only am I getting the content of watching this freakish thing take place, but I could also, you know, somebody that I really trust from a more political perspective, I would kind of put Destiny in the academics category. Obviously academics minus the bisexuality as far as we know, but you know, I would kind of like go in that direction, because then I get to basically kill two birds at one time with one stone even. And that's kind of appealing. But then when I was watching that academics react to your thing, I was like, you know, if I'm Trapple or Ross, I maybe don't care for this so much. Like, maybe you don't need to watch my whole documentary on stream. Like, and there were times where I maybe felt like that, where he was kind of watching like No Jumper office drama and reacting to it on stream. But it would usually be like he's watching a 5-minute clip. So that didn't really like bother me too much. And don't you get flagged watching this shit on YouTube? Because that's been my memory, is that when I would watch like full YouTube videos on stream, that like that's one reason why I like Twitch. I hate everything else about Twitch, but when I'm on there playing poker or whatever, I could just watch, you know, a 1090 Jake video and just not have to worry about it, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I love Ak, and Ak is a pioneer in this space, but sometimes it definitely hurts when you just feel like it's almost like I see him react and I'm like, bro, I wish you would say more. Like, I want to hear more of what you have to say about the doc. Not that I begrudge him posting it on his channel and kind of like, you know, reacting to long segments of it without saying anything. But it's like, even just as a fan, I'm like, man, I wish he had more to say about it. But like, I remember he did a reaction to like my video on like, it was like the dark curse on Lil Durk. And like, he was playing poker for basically the whole video. He was like half watching it and shit. And I was kind of like, man, Ak, come on. And then he claimed my original video with his reaction. And I was like, bro, not even you're even playing poker. You didn't even watch my video. And then you're taking the revenue from the original video. This is crazy. But to be fair, he did fix that. And I got my money back in the end. But like,
hey, but shout out to Failtown USA, because he might have figured this out for me. He said, if you aren't running ads in your live streams, then you don't have to worry about the copyright claims. He makes his money off of donations and streaming sites, which is interesting. So maybe if you don't monetize the live stream, then you don't have to worry about getting flagged. I don't know how much sense that makes, but that could be the truth.
Yeah, they're just going to take our content and just fly it out.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. If you monetize your live and you watch somebody else shit, they going to stop it because you're trying to get paid off their content. But if you don't monetize it, they won't stop it because you're not trying to get paid. I don't know if that's true though, because I have seen people that live have been stopped and they not even monetized. So I don't know how true that is.
Out for free without monetization.
With nobody gets to monetize it, right? Yeah.
Nobody that's like straight up piracy, bro. That's like, I don't know, but that's like torrenting live leak type shit. But anyway, no, it's all good. Like, you know, I think the ecosystem is definitely like self-fulfilling, and you know, getting on a Ak stream.
I made a video about how I felt about 1090 Jake. Say what you feel about 1090 Jake, bro. I have made a video on it. You got to go check it out. You know, I said what I said. You know, he told. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more information coming out about 1090 Jake, and it's more proof that he snitched more than one time. But I'm the type of person, man, I ain't finna keep making no videos about nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's like damn near bullying to me. It don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's something big or the situation around that person is going viral, then yeah. But I ain't finna keep making no videos about 1090J. I don't give a damn if he told or not. You know what I'm saying? Exposing that he told, that's not gonna change his people. That's not gonna make his videos go down. His people still gonna love him. He done built a cult following. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really into the whole 1090 Jake situation. Like I said, I already did like 2 videos on it, and hey, that's it. That's my opinion. Every time somebody come out with new information about him snitching, I ain't finna do no fucking video about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about it, you know. But if it was a viral moment going around, his situation, then I probably would. Like the Trenches News. Only reason why I did them couple video, and you see, I ain't even been talking about Trenches News no more. You know what I'm saying? Only way, and the only reason why I gave Trenches News that much attention is because he was involved in a viral moment, which is the FBG Duck case. So, you know, I don't plan on doing no more Trenches content. But if he fuck around and go to court and walk and sit on that stand, I'm most definitely gonna drop a video, you know, not because he's snitching, but he's a part of a viral moment. You know, it's about that viral moment for me.
Or a Destiny stream, you know, I feel like it does help. I mean, like you were saying a minute ago, like, you know, even talking about like Pearl the Grifter, you know, like it probably helps everybody getting posted on all these different pages. You know, realistically, I'm not really going over to Rumble to watch Sneeko say some crazy shit, but like, I'll check out Destiny kind of like ripping into him about it and, you know, take it that route. And you know what I'm saying? That probably don't help the original uploader, but at the same time, like it keeps the relevancy up.
Yeah, and in that case, like when it's somebody whose content I support,
and then I want to speak about that situation too. The reaction videos is a gift and a curse because people can react to your videos, and that could bring you more subscribers from a whole different algorithm. You know what I'm saying? So people reacting to your videos is a good thing too, because you can win over new supporters. Because they might be watching your video from their favorite YouTuber channel, and then they might be like, man, this dude cool. Oh, I like how his personality is, and they go over subscribe to your channel. So, you know what I'm saying? If a person react to my video, hey, it's cool because it's a good chance that I may win over their supporters too.
I feel kind of bad about them having people basically like free boot their content on a streaming platform. But when it comes to somebody I don't really care for, then it seems like an easy decision. Like I would obviously never watch this in my entire life otherwise. But the allure of reacting is so crazy because a lot of times when you scroll through TikTok, you'll see like a viral clip playing and it'll have somebody else's face watching it and reacting to it. And sometimes the reaction will be like almost nothing. But this helps people to perceive this content. Like they wouldn't necessarily really want to watch it that much if they didn't get to see some guy's head in the corner nodding along, and that is kind of troubling that that's how people's brains.
Hey, yeah, and also, man, it's people taking my videos and putting it on TikTok and pretending like it's their videos. So if y'all hear my voice on TikTok in any videos, send me the videos. Send me the videos. I already had to correct like 3 people. They done took like my videos and put it on their shit on TikTok and made it seem like it was their videos. So if y'all hear my voice on any videos on any other platform and y'all know that's my video and they making it their own video, send it to me.
Work. But I mean, this is the same ecosystem where, you know, one time I was talking to Destiny and I go to TikTok and first thing that pops up was a Destiny fan page with over 1 million followers. And I showed him it. I'm like, oh, you seen this? He's like, no, I've never seen it before. So I was like, what a crazy problem that must be to have not even know about this. But every single clip had the thing going on where there was, they call them stim videos. This is me, I'm a millennial, I know terms now. Stim videos where it'll have like Crash Bandicoot or some fucking video game that I've never heard of, and then it'll have the Destiny clip on top of it. Because if it was just Destiny's face, a little boring. You stick some video game footage in there, and ironically, Destiny is also playing video games to keep himself entertained while he's doing much of this content. I don't think that they necessarily want to put like what's it called, Factorio. Actually, I should probably try that, see if I like it. But yeah, just the idea that people need reactions, and I see that with this cocksucker Jamari. I'll do an interview and then he'll make a video about it and get 500,000 views, whereas my interview got 50,000 views. And I'm just like, God damn, this dude just like provided a synopsis and it was this much more valuable to the audience that 10 times as many people wanted to watch it. I don't know.
Well, while we're on this topic, man, I got to hit you with a difficult question, but I just got to ask: how does it feel for you to have been the subject of several kind of like hit piece, kind of YouTube documentaries? Like, obviously, you know, you've kind of been on the receiving end of some of that shit recently. Like, how does that feel when you see your face on a thumbnail of a hit piece doc of the type of thing you might really enjoy and savor watching on someone else. You know what I mean?
It's weird because mostly I won't watch it, so I don't really
What up, what
know
up?
what is in them. I've had the experience of sometimes like seeing a video about myself has a horrible title that makes me sound like the worst person on earth, and then I'll click it and watch it and realize that the person who made the video actually isn't really that against me or doesn't really buy into some of the allegations against me, but they also know that the way to get views on this video is to make the title as provocative as possible. So that's kind of interesting. And sometimes I'll be like, there's been a time or two where I was like, damn, that guy hates me. And then I finally get around to watching the video and I'm like, oh, he doesn't hate me. But the title and the thumbnail certainly would lead people in that direction. I don't know. I mean, I try not to think about it too much because, I mean, one of the weird things about it is that somebody can make a video about you. It could get 1 million views. And then you'll never meet someone ever who has anything to say about it or says anything about it, who has seen it. And it's like, well, I know at least 1 million people have seen this, but somehow I've never interacted with any of them. I mean, obviously, like some people around me probably have seen it. They're too polite to mention it or whatever. But I mean, I like it when, even if the opinion of me is kind of negative, it's whatever, as long as it seems honest. But a lot of times it doesn't seem honest. Or a lot of times, like, you'll be watching a whole video about you. And I remember I was watching a video and they just said, like, oh, so this guy Lush, he was like the biggest star on No Jumper. And I'm like you put together this whole video and then you're just gonna say that Lush was the biggest star on the platform. Like, the whole video seemed pretty good, and then you just kind of like miss this one detail where it's like, okay, Lush was like reasonably popular, but you can't put him in the most popular category. What the fuck are you talking about? And so I don't know, but it's just like low-hanging fruit shit too, where like people, they just tend to go with the easy narrative or the easy synopsis of what's going on, and that the laziness is what kind of gets to me sometimes, because I feel like when I have an argument against somebody on camera that I'm willing to bring on camera, that typically I will go out of my way to try to debunk it myself or to try to figure out what the counterpoint is, etc. And it's kind of weird when people don't do the same for you, although it doesn't surprise me even slightly, because, you know, I've been on the internet too long to think that people are going to sort of owe you that level of introspection that you might be willing to give them.
Yeah, man, it's interesting to kind of like see things go that way. But like, do you feel like with everything that's happened, you know, do you feel like there came a point where you've begun to like kind of like use the Reddit to your advantage, or like, you know, there was a period of time when it was almost like people started to be like, oh, you know, Adam has sort of become the mastermind of playing these little kind of public opinions. There's that classic illustration that went around of like you dropping all the old No Jumper hosts. Like,
Right.
I'm done playing. I'm done. I need some new toys or something. Like, was there a moment? I mean, a lot of people have been enjoying your big 22 moments on the Stairmaster with the creatine hit, and you know what I mean. When was the moment that came when you were like, you know what, I'm gonna put my foot on some people's necks, and I'm gonna kind of like bring some of that Reddit energy to the table, bro? Because I think a lot of people really enjoyed when that happened.
I guess it's just the point where you realize you don't really got anything to be afraid of. That like people are going to talk tough. They're not going to do anything. You don't got nothing to worry about. You could just do whatever. You can make whatever kind of content. And I mean, really, the moment that made the ops, quote unquote, 63rd stop talking about me is because I basically was just willing to say, I don't care if you're tough. Like so many of these arguments come back to like, I'm tough. And I'm just like, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me that you're tough. And if you want to keep saying that shit, you're going to have to prove it. So whatever, like, I don't care. It's just like, I'm not really worried about it like that. You know, realistically, if you did something to me, I'm going to handle it how I'm going to handle it. Probably also going to handle it in a court of law, or at least with a sternly worded phone call to the police department. You know, I'm not scared of playing those games either as a law-abiding citizen, whatever. So it's like, I don't know. It's just like when you call somebody's bluff and then they just immediately stop talking about you for a period of a couple months, that kind of says everything, right? So I'm trying to leave that whole narrative in the past a little bit, but I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what it came down to, was just me making it clear that I didn't give a fuck and I wasn't worried about it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, and honestly, like the whole Jason Love Lena thing, that kind of like that kind of like increased the amount of hate that I was getting to such an extent that it made me realize that I really didn't care about any of it. You know, like none of this really affects me. None of this really like involves itself with my everyday life. You know, I could be having a great day making content at No Jumper, and get home at 5 and spend 2 hours with my kid before bed, and then go and work out or play poker or do whatever, like in my big house that I get to live in because I've been so successful on content side of things or whatever. And then you go to Twitter and you got like 20,000 notifications of people shitting on you. And it's just kind of like, oh, like whatever. Like you don't have to care. At a certain point, the Tyler, the Creator, cyberbullying tweet comes to mind where it's like, you just walk away from the computer. Or like in my case, like I read a lot of it and I just don't really care that much. Like it just doesn't really matter. I feel like, my channel is successful. People love my interviews still.
I don't get what you're saying. Inspired by you.
Feels like people have really kind of warmed up to a lot of the hosts. They enjoy seeing me and Sharp and Brick and Whack. The Whack thing has been going crazy. People are really tripping out about that. So I mean, I don't know. I've just been like quote unquote famous or like well known on the internet for long enough that at a certain point, it's just what other people say about you is really none of your business. And I've always heard that, and it just keeps making more and more sense to me as the years go by. And the more and more high profile you get, the more and more you can imagine yourself as like a Kim Kardashian, where she gets so much hate she could never begin to even sort of deal with any of it, right? Or to like really care about any of it because it's just so pervasive. I think that's really like, that's reaching Zen as an influencer, is to have so much hate that you really can't pay attention to any of it. That's what we're all kind of aiming for, I think.
Yeah, man, it's kind of, I don't know, like it was really inspiring to really see you, they really tried to count you out, like not necessarily they, but just like everybody. There's been a couple moments where people have been like, it's over. But bro, like you come back stronger than ever every time. You've never been more relevant. Big 22 is kind of like just unkillable, bro. You're like the Terminator out here.
Yeah. I mean, it helps to have weak ass ops. It helps to have ops who left without a plan and then didn't even execute the plan that they thought that they had. So, that's helpful. If somebody were to leave.
Man, your boy Adam, since he been hey, he been talking a lot of op language and shit lately, man. Like he really at beef, man. He need to cut that shit. That nigga said it really helps when you have ops. Man, he need to cut that shit out.
Leave and start, Tesla, then obviously that's going to be kind of rough. It's got to be rough to be Dame Dash, where like your boy that you had a business with leaves and he takes over the world and becomes like a crazy billionaire and marries the #1 pop star in the world. I don't really feel like I'm in that position.
Lush might still do it, man.
If I had to pick one, I believe in Lush. Let me ask you this. What was it about Lit Yoshi that made you want to really condemn him as the scum of the earth? It felt like you had a bit more venom for him than you maybe even had for somebody like Vaughn.
Yeah, I did kind of feel like I went at him a little harder. I think it was shooting at the car with like women and kids in it. I think that really got me. Like, I think you know what's interesting? You cover a lot of these gangster stories, and I think that you come across like occasionally you really catch those like hood morals. Like there's a not classic, but there's a good G Herbo lyric that I really like recently, where he says something like, "We only spare in them if we see a car seat," and it's kind of like that's that real gangster ethics.
I hit that
like, no women, no kids. Whereas, what I'm saying, you got someone like J-Man. He's women are the first thing you're grabbing for when the ops start busting. But like, I think there was just something that kind of really, really kind of messed with me when it came to like they said that he kind of like spun and shot up an ops car with like kids in the car, and you know what I mean, that kind of made me feel like it was that, and then plus the fact that he somehow managed to just be out on bail for all these shootings, riding jet skis in Miami, and then there was that clip of him where he was like, I just need to go to the judge, get the icing on the cake and get off probation. And then they basically were just like, hell no, like no more jet skis. You need to calm down. And, ultimately, like, I did feel, maybe I went a little too hard on him because I think it's good to stay a bit more impartial. But like, I did just feel like Lit Yoshi was really out here, like causing chaos. And then when you tie it back to the fact he was never formally convicted of it, but, the police did officially say that he was connected to the shooting at the Trump Hotel where a man lost his life and a child was grazed. And, whether or not it was YoungBoy's crew or Yoshi's crew firing the exact shot that killed the innocent man working at the rental car shop, Mohammed Jaradi, or I think it was a 5-year-old child that got grazed by a bullet. I mean, yourself as a father, you know, the people that started firing are really responsible in that situation. And that, I mean, even the fact for a child to have been grazed, you know, that's you're talking that was very close to a kid being killed in that situation. And I think those facts, I mean, you got, you know, Yoshi riding around with an AK like in the time leading up to that shootout in Miami, that just really made me feel like he really didn't have a regard for human life in the way that, say, a G Herbo seemingly does.
Yeah, man. When I was talking to Mama Duck the other day, she made it clear that she feels like the taboo about killing women and children is at an all-time.
I'm gonna speak on it real quick for the people that didn't watch the documentary. Y'all remember when NBA YoungBoy got into that shootout in Miami and his girlfriend was shot in the arm? Now, it was said to be that it's allegedly supposed to have been T Grizzly, not T Grizzly himself, but his homies who shot at YoungBoy. But come to find out that Yoshi had went to jail for it. I don't know if he was found guilty for that, but he was arrested for that because he was on live riding around in the same kind of car that witnesses said stopped and shot up NBA YoungBoy car. And he had the same kind of gun on live that the police say was used in the shooting. So he was arrested. I don't know, was he given time because a murder was involved and attempted murder? So I don't know, was he was charged with it and found guilty, but he was arrested for that.
I'm low. And I feel like to a lot of like street dudes, if you were to take a hard stance against shooting at somebody when their kid is there, they would feel like they are now at a massive disadvantage over their more heartless ops. So it's like, I mean, like all the street shit is just a race to the bottom, you know, because as soon as one side starts thinking, like, what if chemical weapons came to Chirac? You could imagine that the hood that thought up those first, that dropped a nuclear bomb on their op block, they win, right? If you could wipe out the whole block at once, then boom, you win. It's a miracle they haven't invented that. And you see that in Mexico too, with all the kidnapping and shit. It's like, God, I'm so thankful that even in Southern California, there's very, very little kidnapping going on. Kidnapping like for ransom is what I'm kind of specifically referring to. But you're just kind of like, geez, thank God people aren't that broke or that desperate, because as soon as it becomes such a dire circumstance that started to seem reasonable. I mean, and you see it in LA. You see it where, like, you know, as soon as the PvP money went away, all of a sudden you got people doing like way more robberies where they follow people home and rob them in the driveways of their house and stuff like that. That seems like way more savage than 10 years before that. YG was putting out records where he's talking about flocking. Now, flocking, obviously not like a victimless crime or anything, but at least like a lot of the guys who are flocking, they don't even have guns on them. The whole idea is to get in and out of the person's house with whatever their possessions are without getting caught. I mean, that seems like a pretty victimless crime in comparison to, like, you know, shoving a gun in somebody's face in their front yard. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like the worst shit gets. Like, we're clearly not at the point where we've seen the worst things that American criminals have to offer. Like, it will get worse.
Man, if one of the Oblockians sets off a dirty bomb in 63rd, you know what I'm saying? Well, they might just top Von.
Shit,
but,
man. It could happen. God.
I mean, people are getting, you know, there's still a lot of people coming out that are, you know, into very serious business. You know, I talk about the J-Main thing. You interviewed Tay Savage, right?
Yep. A couple times now, actually.
A lot of tough dudes out here that are just kind of, you know, really, really pushing the tough do anything to your ops type narrative, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a race of who can be the most savage on the mic, you know, whether or not people are doing these things for real, who knows? But you know what I'm saying, we had that, was it Rondo number 9 had an RPG in the hood, so
but that was fake, right?
Nah,
I'm saying this one was fake. Next one, you might get a little ammo, get a little loot crate delivered and shit, man.
That motherfucker most definitely had a
real. If you
one.
want to know some good lore, go back to the video where I met 6ix9ine was called "Oh What a Night." It was just a vlog that I did where I met him, had no idea who he was, and I was talking to his friend, and his friend says something in the vlog about having a rocket launcher. And the cops, according to him, I guess it's possible that he was lying about this, but according to the cops, the next day the cops showed up at his house looking for the rocket launcher. And that blew my fucking mind at the time, because I'm coming from California at that time, and I'm thinking, like, you're telling me that the cops figured out from my vlogs that the New York City hip hop police department is paying close enough attention that they figured out that you mentioned a rocket launcher, in like, that just blew my mind. But I mean, that's a police department who's doing their fucking job right there. God.
Didn't like Zilla Kami or something have the RPG in the music video? And that
it might have been, but it was, so there was this dude Slosher, and he was like, there was like a really famous photo of 6ix9ine holding hands with like a heavy set black dude in the airport or something, and that was him, and he was the one who said that he had, and he's the only reason why I met 6ix9ine early on in his career in general, because, and I've said this too many times on the podcast, but he basically like had a photo of himself fingering a woman in a hot tub, both like his whole hand in her, and he's surrounded by pints of lean in the hot tub. Anybody who knows anything about lean knows that these are not real pints of lean, but he, like, I think I saw it and I posted it on Twitter because I thought it was such a crazy image, and then he sent me a tote bag with that image on it, and it was basically on the strength of that I ended up hanging out with him in New York in 2017, and that's how I met 6ix9ine, and that's why we ended up doing the interview, even though I very much did that interview like begrudgingly, because he was just kind of like a thirsty random ass kid for a long time until the music started hitting. Okay, let me see if I have anything else here. What about Asian Doll? How much culpability you think that she deserves in this whole storyline? Because if she was really giving NBA YoungBoy that NBA Young top, then I feel like that kind of like explains a lot more of the animosity in a way that we didn't really get a window into previously.
This was a beef. This was a female-led beef, man. Like that's the way it seems. You know what I'm saying?
And let me confirm it. At first, Asian Doll denied the fact that she slept with YoungBoy, but in her song, I think it's called "No Exposing Me" or some shit, she did admit that she slept with YoungBoy like 2 times, I think it was. So at that point, when Von and YoungBoy was going at it, she was sleeping with YoungBoy.
I'm saying a lot of people seem to want to push this narrative that like, oh, they didn't fight, they weren't fighting over a chick, like they were. That seems to be the case. Like Von was taking the pictures with Jania, YoungBoy's baby mom. That was a big part of it. That was like a big inciting incident. And then Asian was messing with YoungBoy seemingly to get back at him, and all that stuff cascaded from there.
And talk to Remo, because Remo talked to somebody the other day who told us about an additional female who was a big part of that whole beef, not somebody who's even known.
Damn, that's crazy. This is the thing, though, man. It's like, you know, as the great British rapper Dave says, you know, a lot of people will die for Nyash, and you know what I'm saying? That's could arguably be what happened here. But bro, the idea that women are kind of involving themselves in these gangster feuds, maybe they don't even realize. I mean, look, Asian Doll, she went at me on Twitter as well, but like she was on Twitter talking about, I only fuck guys that have got 3 bodies. I got 3 body minimum if you want to mess with me. And like, I like killers and all this stuff. You know, she was messing around with like top 5 as well and all kinds of stuff. But like, bro, like that's the energy you're putting out, bro. You're running around like pushing this idea that like you want to sleep with killers and murderers, and like then you're gonna act like mortified when murdering starts happening. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think I also want to say, like, I can't imagine what she went through. You know, Von was her boyfriend. They did seem like they were very much like in love from their posts, and I think it does seem like it was a serious relationship. I don't think it was a cap relationship for social media. And so, you know, I do have a lot of sympathy for Asian Doll. I'm sure she really went through it when Von passed. You know, whether or not you believe that she played a role in it, you know, the whole thing was messy as hell. And you know what I mean? That must have created a lot of trauma for her. So, you know, I do sympathize.
I hope she would be a little bit more careful with her words, given everything that she's been through. Saying I only like killers. I mean, that's kind of played out at this point, because we've like heard so many girls go on podcasts and talk about how they only like drug dealers or they only like street dudes or whatever. And it's like, you know, that might sound cute, but if you're saying this in a venue where people are going to try to get you to actually make sense, it's pretty tough to justify saying that you would rather date a guy who makes $200,000 a year because he's a drug dealer or a criminal versus a guy who makes $100,000 a year and he's a regular guy. Me as a 40-year-old man, 39, almost 40, pretty fucking obvious that you should go with the guy with the safe, normal career, especially if you don't want to get involved in this, because you will snitch on them because they will make it so that you really have no choice but to snitch on them, especially if you want to continue on with your normal life. But yeah, I don't know, man. That was a fucking mind-blowing plot twist. I guess I just didn't realize that YoungBoy had apparently had Asian Doll, which I really, if I do get a chance to ask him any questions, that should probably be on the tip of my tongue. Is what's going on with Asian Doll?
Bro, there's so many questions, man. I feel like it's a blessing that you managed to get 6 hours of revision drop just around the time that, you know what I'm saying, you gotta try and land the interview, man. I don't know how possible it is, but that'd be fire.
I'm in contact with multiple people on his team, just trying to make something happen. Let's have a conversation that will probably make him less likely to ever sit down with me. Me and Whack 100 had a bit of an argument on the podcast the other day because I referred to 4K Trey as a gang. Is that fair?
Yeah, he would.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that, like, you know, if you listen to the song Slime Mentality, as you yourself said, you know, it's pretty clear.
My mama
that,
slime.
you know,
my dad is slime.
Mama slime. Yeah, look, that like, I don't know. Listen, he, as Quando Rondo said, you know what I'm saying, he'll kick a girl out.
Gotta be
what
stopped,
4K
man.
Trey even means. So we're not supposed to know what it means. It may or may not be a gang. And I think this is just something I really want to get clear. Although I had people in my DMs saying they were going to literally kill me and stop me from uploading the YoungBoy documentary for what they said was police ass shit. If you actually watch the documentary and you actually listen to what I have to say, I basically give YoungBoy a pass for everything. You can't say that I say anything in that documentary that really points the finger at him directly and could get him indicted or anything like that. Because
and I gotta co-sign it for the ones that wasn't in here in the beginning. I said that the YoungBoy documentary is totally different from the KingVon documentary. In the YoungBoy documentary, Trap Lord Ross, he did not pin anybody's on YoungBoy. He did not say that YoungBoy committed any crimes. What he did was he highlighted situations that was already public, and he left it up for us to decide, do we think YoungBoy had something to do with it? Now, the KingVon documentary, he basically put it out there. Von did it. But YoungBoy was different. So I salute him for that, because he did not say, oh, YoungBoy killed this person, that person, that person. YoungBoy had this. He did not do that. He just put out public information, and he left it up to us to decide.
in reality, if he is the kingpin truly personally responsible for all those murders, he's not left a trace. There's, like you said to Whack, you know, there's no denying that the guy has left a trail of death and destruction over the course of his career. But as I try and give in the context of the film, he comes from nothing but death and destruction. He comes from a dark, dirty, messed up place where, you know, human life is sadly not valued. Robberies, burglaries, murders was just a commonplace thing where he's from. So, you know, it's hard to really say like he really did all that like Von did. But at the same time, there's also a possibility that YoungBoy is responsible for all of this stuff behind the scenes and he's covered his tracks. And I do think it's possible that we might never know. But then again, academics seem to say that he was sitting on a YoungBoy interview where he confessed to all the crimes. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what Ak said.
Man, if I was Ak, I would take the hard drive and bury it in the backyard just in case anybody ever tries to come through and get that. Because that's one thing, if I got a chance to sit down with YoungBoy, that I would definitely ask him is like, what was on that academics interview?
Now, for the people that don't know what's going on, academics interviewed NBA YoungBoy like a year or two ago. And academics say YoungBoy spoke on a lot of stuff that done happened in life, whether it was the streets, whether it was personal. He said that YoungBoy really incriminated himself, and academics hinted that he didn't know, he don't know what's going on in the streets, but YoungBoy, he let it all out. But YoungBoy told him, don't release the interview until he did. So we would not be able to see that interview until YoungBoy died. And academics say he understand why he say that. Because goddamn it, hey, if he released that interview now, it's over for that boy.
There's no way he actually was like on a FaceTime call and really actually admitted to shit. I don't know. Because like, why would he ever do that? Like, why would he think that he could trust Ack with that information, even though he apparently could? Or why would, it's like, but that does sound like one of the greatest blueprints ever, like to understanding him, is if you actually had that, if that call really was that egregious.
And let me tell you this too. I kind of understand it, but for all my artists out there, for anybody that's have any kind of career where you get interviewed, man, or period, man, don't tell people no shit like that. No secrets that you done. Don't tell nobody nothing that can get you put away for the rest of your life. I don't understand, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe YoungBoy was high and he felt like he could tell Academics, but we have to realize the relationship he had with Academics at that time. YoungBoy would not speak to nobody, do no interviews, only Academics. He looked at Academics like a real friend. So maybe that's why he told Academics what he told him. But hey, advice to everybody. Like, man, don't tell nobody. Not even the chick you land with, not even the dude you land with. Don't tell nobody nothing, because if they get mad at you, they could use that shit against you. And I salute Academics, because even when he was beefing with YoungBoy, he did not use that against him and put that out. So I salute Academics for that.
There's a part of me, and obviously I love Ack, but there's a part of me that feels like maybe Ack's capping, because it seemed like maybe he just on a spur of the moment was like, oh, I'm just going to say that in a reaction to the documentary. Because like, bruh, if you really got YoungBoy confessing to crimes, bro, the feds might turn up at Ack's mansion and like subpoena those tapes, bro. Like, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah, and that would be very, very bad for Ack's future in hip hop media, even if he like wasn't 100% responsible for them coming and finding that stuff. Like, just him being involved in it, like, oh my god, he would be like in a Gunna-esque spot as a commentator, just for having been involved in the paperwork in regards to that. Damn,
Ack
that would be so crucial, because like Ack knows that you could trust him, so he could let you watch that content, and he knows that you would probably keep your mouth shut about it, right? So like that would be the additional layer of what Trap Lord Ross could eventually bring to the table, is if you had access to stuff like that. I'm interested in more espionage in your career,
That's like a 1090 Jake move, you know what I mean? I feel like Jake might, get his hands on, buy an illegal copy of the YoungBoy tapes and release those to the world. But people want to say Vlad's the police, but like, bro, Academics, like, you know what I'm saying? It surprised me that he would even reveal that he had compromising information on YoungBoy, which he said, right? So,
but that was at the heart, at the most heated moment with them beefing too, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe that was before.
No, that was before.
I'm not sure. I mean, it really blew my mind. I didn't even put it in the documentary because I didn't really want to stoke the flames. But like, it really blew my mind that Academics did that post outside the Beverly Center where Quando's.
Oh well, he tried to play dumb about that. You think that was intentional?
Yeah, Academics crossed the line.
It's hard to believe it's not, just because like Academics is a smart guy, and it was in the midst of all of the YoungBoy beef, and it's just like,
if y'all don't know what he's talking about, when he started beefing with Academics, started beefing with YoungBoy, Academics pulled up where Quando Rondo, homie Lil Pal, was shot and killed at, where Quando Rondo was crying and stuff at the crime scene. He pulled up there playing Lil Durk song and posted it on Instagram. And then he tried to say that he didn't do that on purpose. It was a just coincidence. Nah, Academics, you crossed the line right there. You pulled up where Quando Rondo homie was killed at playing Lil Durk song, and you took a picture. It was a video. So not only you had a video in your story, but you took a picture of that motherfucker and posted it. You knew what you were doing, gang.
Like, bro, it's hard to believe that coincidence when he's like taking sides with Durk. and dissing YoungBoy and then posting that. But then again, Ag's defense, he was like, bro, I'm just posting the Beverly Center. I'm just in LA doing my thing. But it was like, I'm pretty sure the pic had like the gas station in it as well and stuff. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't want to think that that's what he was doing. But then again, Ag's a smart guy, bro. Ag would have been posting all the news clips at the Beverly Center when that shit went down. So, like, I don't know. But he obviously posted a lot of stuff. So maybe he just, that was oversight.
I mean, if he's really smart, then he'd be smart enough to troll and then never admit that he was trolling.
I mean, a lot of people.
That is where he's at right now.
A lot of people in this space do like to throw a stone and hide their hands. I'm not necessarily saying that's what he did, because I could also believe he truly didn't know. The Beverly Center is a famous place, so
right.
I get. But it's kind of like, it's like that thing of like someone from O Block, like they just so happen to be posting a story at the Dolce & Gabbana store in the Gold Coast, and it's sort of like, okay, yeah, that is a place you might want to go shopping, but we know that's where Duck lost his life. So I'm not saying that's happened, but I'm saying it's like it would be akin to that in the middle of a beef,
Yeah. Oh, this is a real famous bus stop. Yeah, this is a real famous bus stop. That kind of thing, You know
what I'm saying? Maybe Lil Durk just was catching the bus that day. You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
This is a real famous bus stop. If you could like see Percocet through a camera lens, that clip right there to me felt like it was bussing. Maybe Molly too. I don't know. He was just feeling a little too good in that clip. I don't know.
I ain't tried the perks, bro. You know what I'm saying? Might have to come out there and feel like Dirk for a minute.
You'd love it. Hey, speaking of, has the Brick Baby case gone cold for you? You were implicating him in a few things for a minute there.
Hey, that was the Quando video. You know what I mean? I feel like fate was on Brick Baby's side because you know what I'm saying. A lot of people were pointing the finger at him 1 minute, but you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put Brick Baby in it. His star has risen a lot since I was investigating him. I mean, like, let's be real. It does seem pretty obvious that Brick Baby knew what was going on with all that stuff. But you know what I'm saying? Nobody's been caught for it still. But like, it's a pretty brazen crime. I'll be real with you. The murder of Lil Pab, rest in peace to him. And obviously it was awful what Quando went through and, was filmed at the scene with everything. But like the murder of Lil Pab, like shooting someone up outside the Beverly Center, that's in the same league as what they did to FBG Duck. And I do not think for a second that the cops aren't all over that. And it took them a few years to lock up the guys that got Duck, but they were on it. And now only now we're seeing the CCTV footage of the cars come out and, all the different evidence and the snitches that they've got. Bro, they're going to solve that case eventually, bro. And, we'll find out eventually, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in Brick's defense, like the first thing he told me was like, I was out of town. So I never really questioned him beyond that. It's like he was out of town. He was out of town. Like if there's some crazy trail of information that could somehow connect them to it, then I guess we'll maybe find out one day. But I don't know.
But I believe Brick Baby also said the last guy we lined up got $1 million. 100K is not enough.
I mean, rappers say all kinds of stuff, trying to sound tough, right? I wouldn't put it past him to have just invented that scenario in his head at that moment, right?
No, I feel you. That could be true. I mean, it's a tricky one, right? Because it's like, is Brick Baby really doing the smart rapper thing of almost like, well, everybody thinks that he lined up this thing, so why not rap about it and try and capitalize on some clout off the back of it? Because surely you wouldn't make that song had you actually been involved in it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, if you and if he was there or if he had actually done it, hell no, he would never say something like that in a song. He'd be terrified. He's not Vaughn. He's not like I know Brick Baby, and as much as he is committed to his gangsterdom and also to the content and whatnot, this is also like a family man. I realized because me and him went to the Drake concert together with my girl and two of our female Plug Talk employees, right? And as the clock came closer and closer to midnight, the girls are all standing up, cheering and dancing for Drake. And me and Brick Baby are like sitting down, smoking weed. And like, I'm just sort of realizing like, oh, he's actually, I'm forgetting that he's actually like me, where he's up at 5 or 6 in the morning dealing with the kid, which in my mind, it's like, oh, Brick Baby must be in the studio until 5 or 6 in the morning, but he's not really at that place in his life anymore at this point,
Yeah, man. I hope it's one of those cases where it's kind of like he's capitalizing and cashing in on the allure of being associated with some of the street activity, because we don't want to see Rookie of the Year getting locked up on a RICO now, do we?
If I had Quando coming in for an interview, though, I would probably have to say maybe don't come in that day, Brick, because I wouldn't want maybe he's heard the stories that you put out there, and I wouldn't want Quando to get the wrong idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you're
Quando is
gonna
not
get
finna
Quando
come.
in LA.
No fucking no
anytime
jumper,
soon.
man.
Well, that's a good point too. Although I would like to, because God, the music is really hitting. And that's what's great about like figuring out that I like Quando so much, is that there's like 8 albums I haven't listened to. So I got like so much shit to go through. And also, you reminded me of what a goated project AI YoungBoy 2 or whatever is, because that's like really, I mean, I've listened to like most of his albums, and that's just got to be the one, right?
It's the one, man. It's the
I
Carter
ain't gonna
3
lie, I
for
missed the
this
old young
generation.
boy.
And I feel like it was really doing the documentary and really digging into like every single track on that album and really taking in everything he was saying, that really made me think that like I think AI YoungBoy 2 might be the best rap album of like the modern generation. Full stop. Like nothing better. So much versatility. The guy's showing so much of a range of emotions. All the songs sound like nothing you've ever heard before. And then when you actually tune into what he's saying, he's talking some real shit.
Yeah, and I was watching the what was it, like the Rap Radar interview that YoungBoy did, and he suggests his list of his favorite albums, and AI YoungBoy 2 is not on there, but he does say 38 Baby 2, which I had not previously heard. I went and listened to it the other day. It is pretty good, but I on first listen, I don't think I could really put it up there with AI YoungBoy 2. Maybe there's something about it that he likes that I'm not necessarily picking up on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird one, man. He puts out so much music, you know. I feel like it probably, this is just a complete guess, but like I think all those albums probably really remind him of like certain times in his life. You know what I mean?
Which album
Like,
would you say is the most different, like sonically goes in the most polarizing direction that's different than all the other ones? Because for the most part, like the production's like largely the same across the board. It's like every album pretty much has some murder music, some pain music. It's like very, you know, it's not like he has like a Lil Wayne Rebirth, right, where it just totally goes in a different direction.
I would say he kind of does a little bit. I think it's I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it's I Rest My Case, and he kind of does a kind of rage album, which is it's kind of like a little bit Yeet, Lil Uzi, Playboy Carti inspired, to be honest. And I think that's really why a lot of people were kind of really excited for this like supposed Carti YoungBoy collab album. Because if you go and check that one out, I think it's I Rest My Case.
Okay.
It really does have a lot of these like rage beats, and I think it works really well for him. It's not my favorite kind of like hip hop subgenre, but I think it does work super well for him. Another that I would say is very underrated is the one he did with Birdman from the Bio. It's just got that real southern, like Birdman's barely even on the album too, which is probably for the best. But like it's just got that real like just like swampy, southern, bluesy, but then like real gangster shit. And there's a couple of just really inspiring songs on there. But yeah, I Rest My Case definitely stands out. I would say is like the most sonically different.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to that on the drive home today. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. What do we have to look forward to? What might be the next thing that we see? And are you happy with the views and the traction that the YoungBoy thing has gotten? I know it's not maybe as explosive as Vaughn, but it's got to be sort of in the ballpark, right?
It's a tricky one because it's like it's not quite on the level of Vaughn, but it's probably one of the best things that I've done. You know, it's nearly touching 2 mil in just over a week.
And you lost like 2 million views on the first Vaughn upload, right? So when we see that it has like 8, it actually has 10.
So it's maybe a little bit less than that, but like, yes, yeah, like close to. It's probably close to touching 10 total. But this is the thing. It's like, had the Von thing not happened, the YoungBoy thing would have been one of, if not my biggest hit, right? So it's kind of like, it's a little bit bittersweet because it's like, I know the Von thing was like a complete one of a kind. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm very, very happy. I'm very grateful that people watched it and enjoyed it. And I think as well, I think part of that is because it's had less controversy than the Von thing. I think the Von thing came with so much of like, people trying to shut me down, people getting the video successfully taken down, you know, the hate, the beef, Von not being here anymore, his family coming at me. Whereas the YoungBoy thing, maybe because YoungBoy's alive and a lot of the people I have spoken about, they're all very hush, sticking to the code. There wasn't really much back and forth. There wasn't much like social media sparring that I could use to promote the project. But I'm very happy with it, and the people that have watched it have responded really well. But as far as what's coming next, I want to finish that Quando documentary that I was talking about. That one's like really important to me. You know, maybe you should go to 33rd Street in Savannah and like go and interview Quando if that's possible. Because
I would love
when that drops,
I'm there. Let's do it. That's a great idea. I'll get my Angela Yee on. I'll pull up.
Yeah, in the back of the rolls, that might be the one. But after that, I'm doing a big UK story on a guy called Suspect from Active Gang. And no one knows much about this guy in America, probably. But like this guy, he's basically like the KingVon of the UK. He
So you're telling
basically-
me Suspect, the guy that we have in here doing the news, that he's a cold-blooded killer? I had
Bro,
no idea.
overseas he's got hella bodies, so
Oh.
it turns out. But yeah, this is a super interesting story about a guy. He essentially murdered 2 people and then fled the UK to Kenya, and he couldn't get, like, the police couldn't find him for 2 years, and in that 2 years he released like music non-stop, just bragging about these murders that he had done, and then eventually they actually did catch him and bring him back to England. It's a crazy story.
Wow, that does sound great. I gotta tune into that for sure. All right, thank you very, very much to Trap Lord Ross.
Hey, man. Hey, I must say, man, that interview right there was very interesting. A lot of hate, man. I ain't gonna count. A lot of people ain't like to see them 2 people right there. How y'all feel about Adam and Trap Lord Ross, man? Do y'all really feel they're culture vultures? Like, help me understand. Like, what makes somebody a culture vulture? I'm just asking. Anybody? And if it was a black person, try to say not Ross. And if it was a black person doing these documentaries, will y'all feel better? Will it make it okay if it was a black person doing these documentaries? Say, yeah, I stomach it more. And see that, and see, I ain't gonna lie, that's something that I disagree with a lot of people on with color. Like, I just watched this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care what color the person is that do the content. I'm here for the content, not the actual person. You know what I'm saying? So, like, y'all see it as a big deal, and you know that's cool. I just don't see it like that. I don't see color. I never, like, as a kid, my first best friend was a white boy. He didn't have no arms or no legs, straight up. My first best friend was a white boy named Kyle with no arms or no legs. So, you know what I'm saying? I be seeing and I understand where y'all come from. But I don't put that much energy into it. Because if it's wrong, what he's doing, then it's wrong if it's a black person doing it. But a lot of people feel like, oh, if it was a black person, it'd be better. How? If you go to Trap Lord Ross page, he been a fan of hip hop for a long time. I'm talking about years. I had another friend in middle school named Leaf, white boy, straight up white, no mix or nothing. You couldn't tell him he wasn't black. His mama, listen, they didn't grow up in the hood. Only hood friend he had was me, and we was kids. We wasn't even in middle school, it was elementary. But he just liked everything a black person. Like, he just felt like one of the dudes. Like, he was just born like that. We was in elementary. Like, we have to stop letting color divide us. Because it's some people that's white that will love you more than a black person would. Just because they white, that don't mean that they're exempt from certain things. Like, I forgot who said it. But they say we always talking about the white and black issue. The white people that's on our level, them is not even the enemies. Because the white people on our level can't listen. The I don't want to get in. I can't even do it. I can't even do it. I can't even do it. I can't even do it, gang. You feel me? I can't get into it. I try, especially on this channel. I don't try to go into that deep. You know what I'm saying? But I think we should take color out of stuff like this, man, and just appreciate the content. Seriously. My big mom, my great grandmother, she looked pure white. She's an Indian, Cherokee, and she's black. My big mom looked pure white. You can't even tell she's black. She's an Indian, and she fully black. I get it. Like I say, I understand, you know what I'm saying, where y'all come from when y'all do this or when y'all speak on it. I understand it because at one point in time, even though I didn't look at color as this and that, but once I got into this YouTube situation, I used to think like that. But then once I became a YouTuber and I got in debt with it, I looked at it and I see it for what it is. See, a lot of y'all don't understand. Like I said the other live, how many white rappers is it that's in hip hop? It's not that many. So if you have a blogger that's not black speaking on hip hop, 9 times out of 10, 98%, he's going to be talking about a black rapper or a black singer. But just to stay on rap, he's going to be talking about a black artist. It's not that many white artists that rap. So if they're a hip hop guru or if they lane is hip hop, they have no choice but to talk about black people. So how can we look at them a certain way? That's just like TikTok mama, the white lady from TikTok that do all the TikTok dances. She could tell you every rap song from the 70s to now. The old white lady. She just loved the culture. She grew up around the culture. You know what I'm saying? Why we can't embrace people like that? She can't help because she white. I had a white teacher that grew up, that was born damn near where I was born at. You feel me? She ain't act black, but she understood. She understood, and she spoke on a lot of shit that was going on in the hood because she understood. She made other teachers at our school understand us. It wasn't no black teachers just saying, oh, you can't speak on this and you can't because you, nah, she understood. Why do we let color separate what can be approved? Now, I get it. It is some people that's culture vultures out there in the game. It is people that just prey on situations. But everybody that's white that speak on black or hip hop is not culture vultures. Like, y'all have to understand that. Is Adam a culture vulture? I don't know. I'm not speaking when I'm speaking toward the Trap Lord Ross. Trap Lord Ross have never gave me culture vulture vibes. And y'all got to understand the difference. Y'all got to understand the difference between a culture vulture and somebody that genuinely love hip hop. Hey, but y'all already know, man, we got Triple Threat Friday, this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all make sure y'all tap in, man. I appreciate everybody that pulled up. Tomorrow, I'm going to go live again. It's going to be something off topic, you know. So make sure y'all tap in. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on your post notifications. It's free. Do it for me. I'm out.
Sauce me up, cause I ain't got nothing to do. Sauce me up, I'm bossing up, cause I ain't got nothing to prove. Bossing up, sauce me up, cause I ain't got nothing to do. Sauce me up, I'm bossing up, cause I ain't got nothing to prove. I'm bossing up, I'm saucing, I'm bossing, I'm saucing, I'm bossing, I'm saucing, bitch, I ain't got nothing to do. I'm saucing, I'm bossing, I'm saucing, I'm bossing, I'm saucing, bitch, I ain't got nothing to prove.
I put this shit on every day like it was Easter. I put that shit on. Got these bows right in this bitch like it was Christmas. Can't fuck with nigga, be talking to them pillars. They really bitch. Make me load the banana clip and go gorilla, yeah. I get you chiller when I'm feeling like P. Miller. I done been broke, I remember them cold December. I came up to catch a plays in a runner. I really did it. I'm certified, you can check my credentials. I really am. Ask about me, they gon' say that boy get though. I hit that bitch when the bank closed. Made 100 bonds soon as I had came home. You can't name a hood that I can't go. Tune.